What's up, everyone, and thanks for joining me today for the 31-ish plus ways to grow your business. Excited to be rocking and rolling with you today. So thank you so much for joining. If you guys have questions throughout, feel free to ask in the comments, and I will engage with you throughout. What's up, everyone? My name is Zach Miller, and I am super excited, delighted, honored, grateful, and whatever other keywords you guys want me to use to be with you today. So, thanks for having me. It's going to be a fun journey, and we're going to have just straight fun throughout. So, let's get into the show. What's up, everyone? Thanks for joining me today for the 31 plus ways to grow your business. At the end of this, you will have some major takeaways. Number one, how to find, win, and engage with influencers or people that could become your champion customers. The process to funneling your visitors into customers, how to turn disappointed guests into raving fans. I know a lot of you guys have been ridiculous on the Yelps and the reviews of the world, and you just go bonkers on that, and how to turn those people that have given you negativity and turning it into positivity. And number four, how to get anyone to open your emails, even that annoying person that you still don't want to open, but they can get you to open those emails. That's everything that can happen today. So thanks for joining along. Who am I? Well, my name is Zach Miller. I was born on March 25th in 1984. That's probably all that you want to hear. I'm the founder of Hatch, and I've done a bunch of stuff over my career, and I've written this amazing book called Anomaly: How to Finally Stand from the Crowd. Can't find it. Oh, there it is. Boom. And been able to help about 10,000 plus businesses over the years and a bunch of other stuff. But I promise you, I'm credible enough to give this talk, which is all that you really want, right? Is someone to say, yes, I've done this stuff before. Why are you here? Well, you probably are starting a business or growing a business, and you want to take that existing business or content or whatever you've been doing and turn it into an absolute monster. You're frustrated with the results that you have been getting over the years because you feel like you're doing something, but just not working, or you just simply don't know what to do. Good thing I'm here to help you today, to help you through all of this, because I will be your savior. I mean, think about it. Anyone that has hair like this, like a 1990s boy band, has to be trustworthy, especially when my left hand is over my chest. That means I'm trustworthy. If you guys have questions throughout, feel free to ask in the comments, and I, Zach Miller, will provide you as much context and value as possible in that. I want you guys to know that everything you see here is updated, refreshed. This is not just canned information, it's fresh information, and everything that you see here that we talk about are things that I have used personally or have used personally with clients that have seen absolute wonderful results. And that's what we want, right? Results. But also, canned fruit is also good, but not as good as fresh fruit. So we're going fresh here. Here's the 8 things we're going to go over: press, existing work, testimonials, social reviews, podcasts, blog posts, interviews, and opt-ins. How to use all those things to your advantage. So let's talk about press. So I guess the first thing I should tell you is that I am a former journalist. I have a journalism degree. I think it's somewhere, my degree is somewhere hanging up in my office. It's off screen, so you guys can't see it. I actually rarely look at it, but I'm a former journalist, so I understand how a newsroom works, and I understand how newsrooms that might not be traditional media also work, and how you can use press and media to your advantage. And so when we're talking about press in this case, you can be thinking about press as your traditional medias, like your NBCs, ABCs of the world, Or it could be new media. So like your BuzzFeeds, your Bleacher Reports, your Barstool Sports, or any kind of media outlet that you consume. Let's consider that the press for this purpose. So what do you want to do? And you're going to start to see that there is a big push from me to have you guys create relationships. I think they're incredibly valuable and important. First thing you want to do is create relationships with a reporter. You want to find the person on your beat. The beat is the topic of whatever you typically do. And you want to follow, engage with them on social media. Now, what you'll find out is that people in the media, people in the press, remember we're talking about the press and media is the things that we just talked about. So your traditional and kind of new form, those people tend to be on social media. And it's a great way to engage with them. You can reach out to them via email, usually pretty easy to find their email. I'll show you exactly where to find all these things on a typical website. And then you want to help them out with a story, idea, or lead. It can be a huge, valuable thing where you're pitching to them help instead of basically help me. So instead of me reaching out to someone and being like, hey, buy my thing, which is ultimately what you're doing. You're saying, hey, do a story on me. You're instead saying, hey, let me help you out with this story. I saw this. I have a great idea for you. I think it could be very valuable for me to provide this information to you. And that's exactly what you're going to do. And then, again, it has nothing to do with your business yet, but it will. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So you're going to Google local business. Okay, with the local business, what we're going to do is just whatever you would think about from that perspective. What I mean by that is this is like your simple Google search for the local things that you would do. So if you were an at-home cleaning company, you would type in whatever, like cleaning company in Virginia Beach, let's say, right? That's what we're going to search for there. Then on the old flip side of that, so then we're going to get a story about some sort of local business on there. And let's just say it's this company. This is what's going to happen. This is how we're basically finding out who the reporter is. That's the purpose of what we're going over right now. So you type in that type of business. In this first thing we did, local business. So it could have been like local breweries, what we posted, or local at-home cleaning. These are the things that would pop up, right? So we got this story right here. It's done by this girl named Robin. And it says right here, Robin, that's a picture of her name. But then right here, hopefully you guys can see the clicker. It has the mouse. I don't know what that's called. Is that a clicker, a mouse? I don't know. But then you see this little Tweety bird. So that's her Twitter handle, and then email, which means if you click either of those or hover over those, what will happen is you get her actual information. Then we want to take her information and put it into some sort of into some form of spreadsheet. If you actually have a copy of Anomaly, you would get this. You guys can get it. Go to anomalymethod.com, and there's a spreadsheet in there, which is very similar to this, but basically we want a data collection of people that we're going to reach out to. And that's simply all that we're going to do. Because when we find these people, when we need to reach out to them, we'll have a spreadsheet available or a document or a CRM ready to reach out to these people. This is the hard work. The hard work is finding these people. Then it looks like this. Once you start reaching out to these people and having conversations with people and figuring out who they are, this is what happens. What happens is great is you fill up this form and you have a database of all these people that you can help them and they can help you. Now, let's say that you're not looking at, a local business. How do you find that kind of national reporter and remember the purpose of this, or the context of this, is that there are local reporters that are tied to like your traditional media outlets. And that's why I was showing you where that person was, that Robin girl. And now there's like national reporters that cover more national or international stuff. It's very easy to find their information. They want to be found. And I'm showing you how to actually find that. So here's HubSpot, which is a media organization that it doesn't matter what they do. They're a large national, international organization. And we're trying to figure out where you can find their information. You can see right here, there's a blog post. It's by Lindsay. It's got her Twitter handle. There it is, outlined. And you want to create a relationship with her the same way that we did with Robin, the same way we're going to do with all these other people. The key is to have a relationship. And so what's interesting is that's a frog and a snail, I guess. It wouldn't seem like they would be BFFs, but clearly they can be. And so the key is figuring out where they are and then creating a relationship with them, helping them out throughout. The key, again, create a relationship with them. It's not a Match.com kind of relationship where you're just like, oh, do we connect? It's like, no, you got to be in the driver's seat with them. You want to engage with them on social media, but as you would as a friend, you're not pushing your agenda. You're not pushing your business. You are simply helping them out, because once you help them out, their job is actually, surprisingly, maybe not surprisingly, is to be nosy. And so if you have your settings correct on your social profiles, they're going to dig deep into you and figure out that, oh, there might be an actual story that they could do on you, that they can produce on you. But because you didn't broach the topic of, hey, do this thing for me, they're going to like you more. Promise you, it works. It works every freaking time. So there also might be like a form on your local business's, what should we call this? Submit news site, right? So your local newspaper, which is what this is, happens to have a thing like submit news. You can fill out a form like that. There also could be other things that you could be able to subscribe to on your local news sites. And so whenever they have those things and you have something to provide them, you want to make sure that you are doing that. And so if you live in Washington, D.C., type in Washington, D.C. news, what will happen is the Washington Post will pop up. And on that WashingtonPost.com, I guess, URL, there will probably be somewhere like submit a news tip. Are there employee changes? Are there big news for us to know about? Things like that. You, as the business owner, as the person in the marketing department, the person that is in charge of communications, you want to go through a plethora of these sites that could distribute your material. And what happens is you fill out these forms. And when you fill out these forms, they oftentimes will take your information and distribute it out, and then there's free press about you. Many people have asked me over the years, how have I gotten hundreds of media articles produced about me? And if really we were talking about the companies that I've worked with too, the thousands of media articles produced about all of those things, how do I do it? It's by doing the nitty-gritty things. And that's exactly what I'm showing you here. These things where you have to reach out to these individuals. You have to create relationships with these people. You have to fill out forms like this. But then your information is distributed out. And guess what? It costs $0. And it's pretty good. And then why do you do this? Because then people who might not know about you, which is the overwhelming majority of people, by the way, folks, they don't know about you. What happens? They start to see you. They look at you as a more credible source, and then they start to reach out or see you, so that when you start to post more things, it becomes more frequent for them to see what you're doing. And so you have to do the nitty-gritty things. You have to do the things behind the scenes. You have to do the things in the dark, basically, to put you in the light. And these are great examples to do this. And I've seen a plethora of results. Even just a few weeks ago, I have a client who went through something like this. And guess what? Front page of the paper. Now you might be saying the papers are dying. Okay. It's still an opportunity for people to see you. And guess what? These things are online. So guess what? Online ain't dying. So keep on producing, keep on creating stuff like this. And once this stuff happens, what I want you guys to do is to go to your websites, yourwebsite.com, and create an as seen in section. Go through and figure out what are the biggest media portals, media sites, media companies that you've been on and simply put their logo on your website. It doesn't have to be 4x2. If you've only been on 2, if you've only been on 1, it's fine. Whatever it is, just put it on your website. And then when someone hovers over that, so like this entrepreneur link right here, this is a story when I was in Entrepreneur Magazine in 2013. If someone was to hover over this on my website, it would then take them to that direct link. It's that simple, right? So if you have had a story produced about you in the last few days, you need to make sure that you update your website and add their logo. And when it goes over to them, when someone hovers over to it, what I want you guys to do is have that individual click that page and it goes to that story. If you've been featured in the same publication multiple times, you can create a separate page for this. So let's say I've been in the Virginia Pilot, 500 times. It could go to the Virginia. It could go to mywebsite.com, zachmillersays.com / whatever that publication is. And then a plethora or a list of all the articles that have been on me or the brands I've worked with under that capacity, right? That's what you need to do. Cool? Thumbs up? Yeah? Ha! Good job. Okay. Moving on. Should I sing in this? So this is what it looks like on a website. Basically, here's the landing page of a website. And then as you can see right here on the as seen in piece. Simple. And that's how it can be done. When you get an article written about you, hopefully you have a newsletter of some sorts. If you don't, you should probably start creating one. You want to let the world know, hey, we were just on, Channel 13. Hey, we were just on ABC. Hey, the Washington Post just picked us up. Hey, the Cheyenne, Wyoming news reporter, whatever, observer, just did a story on us. You want to constantly be letting people know that a piece of material was produced about you. Now, a lot of people will say, but Zach, I don't want to be so pushy. I don't want to push this stuff out there. I get it. There's a frequency that people have to be comfortable with, right? And when this happens, you want to make sure that you do it in a way that's not going to hurt you, but it's going to help you. What I will tell you is this, is the overwhelming majority of the time, we believe that we as individuals believe that we are pushing out more material than is necessary, when actually we can probably be pushing out hundreds of times more material, because it just so happens that not everyone sees it. And so that's our job, is that we want to make sure that people can see the material that we are pushing out. Also, I can't wait to get a haircut. It's going to be great. So push out the material. It's going to be very, very helpful. If you don't, I strongly suggest you have some sort of content calendar and you start making a day of the week the day where you actually start to push out this type of material. So let's say that you're on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. Every Monday, I would start pushing out some sort of frequency, posts around press for you, media attention for you. You can do this by using a tool like Hootsuite, Buffer, or Meet Edgar. There are prices associated with this. They go from, $10 to $100 a month, depending on the size of what you're sending out. But let's say that you wanted to send out a post at 11:30 this morning and forgot to. Well, if you were using a scheduling tool like that, and you had set it up, you wouldn't have forgotten that. And so a couple of bucks here can save you a ton of time in other places. And then here's just an example of what a specific sequence could look like. When was the last time you got an email from someone and they sent you a message, and in that message, there was a lot of white space? Probably every single day. Or in that signature that they have, it was just a lot of wasted space, basically, right? And so they said the message, and that's great. And at the end, it basically says maybe their name, and then maybe it says some sort of contact information, which, do people click that? Yes, I think they do. But what I want you guys to realize too is you can have a call to action in your email newsletter, in your email signature, that allows people to see more about you. So here's a great example of when I was in Entrepreneur Magazine. My email signature said my name, founder of the business, and then it said, did you see us in Entrepreneur Magazine? Which I had a tracking tool called like Bitly that would track to see who clicked that link. It could also be, are we friends on LinkedIn? Did you see that I wrote a book? Are you signed up for my next webinar? Did you see us on in this media publication? Whatever it might be. It's just a way for you to distribute that thing that you've been trying to push out more in a place where other people are already seeing you. And so don't miss out on that free white space that you can send out to people. It can work wonders. Also on your social profiles, take the story that you had and push it out. So if you're on LinkedIn, simply take it and post a screenshot of that image of the article that was produced about you. And then in the description, what I want you to do is write, hey, here's a story that was featured me in Entrepreneur Magazine, and then send the link. It's a great thing. Now, how many of you guys would love, and gals, how many guys and gals out there would love to find a tool that would allow you to have reporters basically salivating and looking for you to provide them information, which in fact would get you free opportunities for press, for media attention, for stories to be produced? Well, today is your lucky day. You are in luck. There's a tool out there. It's called Haro. That's Haro. And what it does, well, it connects reporters with people in specialized fields to be featured in a mutually beneficial way. I started using this almost a decade ago, and because of this alone, it's gotten me in, countless amounts of stories have been produced about myself, my clients, my businesses, and it does wonders. The website is helpareporter.com. If you haven't, I strongly recommend that after this performance, you go and sign up for Haro. The gist of it is they need content and leads, and you need exposure, and they're looking for basically industry experts where they haven't been able to find yet. Guess what? You can be that industry expert for them, and they will love you because of it. Now, I can tell you this, that, back in 2010, when I started using this tool, it was a lot easier to get media attention. So it is a little bit harder now, but you can still get the attention out there. Basically, you're going to go to the site that I just sent you. So type in Haro or helpareporter.com. You're going to type I'm a source, and then it's going to bridge you with the type of information that you are an expert in with the publishers that are looking for that kind of information. This stuff alone can get you on huge media outlets, and it's absolutely incredible. And you'll get an email a couple times a day saying these reporters are looking for this. If you're not doing this yet, this is one of those nitty-gritty things that can take time, but can get you huge publicity. And here's an example of something that an email that they send out each and every day. They send out a couple a day because stories are airing a couple of days. And so if you find something that works under your topic, all you would need to do is click that thing and then follow the instructions, basically. Follow the instructions and great things happen. I mean, it's pretty much a no-brainer. By the way, if you guys have questions throughout, feel free to ask me and I will answer them as we go through this. Happy to answer questions because I like to be a nice person during these things. I think that's valuable. I mean, don't you? I like to be the nice person during all of this. All right, that's it for press, right? Press is a great way to get free media exposure, and it's not, you don't have to pay for it. I'm not saying advertising. What I'm saying is figuring out ways to get stories produced about you by creating relationships with people or using the tools like Haro to get that done. And it's a great times 4 opportunity for you as a brand to get noticed. Existing work. So you've probably been producing work for a long time, right? It doesn't matter what industry you're in, whether you're in service, whether you have a product, whether you have a brick and mortar, whether you have an online business, whether you make an amusement park, it doesn't matter. What you're not doing is you're not showing the world your portfolio. So what I want you to do is to create a portfolio page that includes all the work that you've ever done. And I want you to share it. right? Imagine that you are an amusement park. You don't just sit there and say, we're an amusement park, we're open. No, you're an amusement park and you show off your rides. You show off your roller coasters. So if you have a roller coaster that you think people would want to ride, don't you think you want to share that off a little bit or a lot? Yeah, you do. And so take a page out of the amusement park's book and start showing off your rides, showing off your roller coasters, right? In this, it could be another way to look at it is a couple questions. What the company does, what you did for them. Maybe you're the roller coaster manufacturer, right? How you help them. I don't know, 4 million people have ridden this roller coaster this year. That's a valuable thing. And use numbers whenever possible. I don't know, the tallest, fastest, twistiest roller coaster in the world, right? And so oftentimes we're trying to find these golden nuggets, and the golden nuggets are actually right in front of us. We're just not dissecting what other brands are doing. An amusement park is sharing their rides every single time to entice people to want to be there. And then when they, and how many times do people go to an amusement park a year? Maybe one, maybe a handful of times. Well, what do they do to showcase that? They show people having fun. They show people what can be done. And so that is basically showcasing your portfolio of your existing work. Don't just say you have rides, show that you have rides. And here's a great example of a way that you could showcase this. This is a branding company that has done this, but also this could be an amusement park, right? Maybe it's Cedar Point or Busch Gardens, and it could just be a plethora of all the rides. Showcase that. Show people that you're not only open for business, but you have rides that people want to ride. And then during it, just like we did with the press, I want you guys to start scheduling out for your social post. Now, if you're only on one social media, most people are on one, right? Schedule out. Be like, hey, this is our ride. Hey, this is some of the work that we've done. If people don't see what you've done, if you don't share with people what you've done, guess what? No one will ever know. If people do not know that you have a service or product, do you just expect them to find it on their own? I think you do. And that's not the case. So you have to get in the driver's seat and showcase what you're working on. That is what your portfolio is doing for you. And so think about the amusement parks that you go to or the restaurants, right? If you're a restaurant in this, showcase your menu. It's very simple. Showcase clothing if you're in retail, if you're an online store, pages of your book, right? So I could, I've been reading a different chapter of Anomaly. I've been showcasing it. Maybe I could just show a page of this. Oh, look, boom. There, that's page 87 of Anomaly. Maybe it's just the plane or the jet stream or whatever you call it. Showcase more, right? You have to recognize that people don't know the intricacies and the inner workings of what you've done. Therefore, you can share that with the world. I mean, have you ever seen, to go back to the amusement parks, have you ever seen amusement parks time lapse of a roller coaster going up? Most people don't see things like that. So there's a ton of opportunities for you to push out exposure opportunities on what you're building. But if you don't post it and share it for people to see it, guess what? They will never see it. Again, this is free publicity. This is a great opportunity for you to show off stuff. Next time you're in a car, which might be today, might be right now, might be in a few days, I want you to look at the car in front of you, and I want you to look at their license plate. It likely has something around it that is what I call the license plate method. So it probably is from the dealership that you bought the car from. So I bought a Jeep, and it probably says Jeep dealership around the license plate because that's free advertising for them. So what can you do to get your logo on other websites? Well, if you have worked with a bunch of companies, you can put their logos on your website, or vice versa. If you do like websites and stuff like that, you can get your logo on their websites. Or if you are a cleaning company or an amusement park or whatever, whoever your clients are, say, hey, can we get our logo on your website as a part of your team? And then ask them to take that link and link back to your website. It's a great opportunity, and all it costs is you asking. So the worst thing that can happen is they say no. The best thing that happens is someone can find out about your site by being on someone else's. Testimonials. That was the greatest meal of my life. That's what the person said, but they won't know about it because you don't push it. Here's some things that people have said about my business over the years. I was able to get honest criticism and feedback by surrounded by entrepreneurs and business owners who can understand the struggles I was going through. Never been able to do that without being a part of this business. It helped me broaden my customer base and gave me some great to buy from those people. When you're on Amazon, how often are you buying and reading other people's reviews? Oftentimes. So these methods are incredibly important. And you want to share them throughout your website. Now, one thing that can be difficult is understanding that it's not just the big ones. So maybe you have a large client, but they're not a very big portion of your business. Oftentimes people will just push that business instead of, maybe some of the smaller clients that they have. And so that smaller client, when someone's looking for them, they're like, oh, well, they only work with Walmart, so there's no way they would work with my small brick and mortar shop, when actually that couldn't be further from the truth. But because you only showcase the big boys, you lose out on that opportunity. So what I want you to do here is to recognize that you want to show off the big and the small companies during this, because it can be incredibly valuable. You want to speak directly to your customers. So if you do have a big client in there, absolutely get testimonials from them, but also use the small ones too. And here's a couple examples of what they could look like throughout. Oh yeah. Also, when you're getting testimonials from people, think about using the exact title of your customer as them. So it could be account manager, or it could be director of human resources, or a marketing automation specialist, whatever it might be. You want to hover in on that topic, on that title, if you will, and use that language, because if you end up seeing a trend of account managers being your clients, you want to use testimonials from people like that, because it would entice the same way you go on Amazon and buy something. It would entice someone to be like, oh, well, I'm an account manager and this person said this, so maybe I should buy this thing too. Also, it can be incredibly difficult to get testimonials from people. And so one thing that you want to do when you are getting them is, if someone is talking to you throughout and they give you some sort of great review, just like off the cuff, like while talking with them, start writing down that note on a notepad, because it'll be very valuable later on, because that can be the testimony that you can get out of someone, because it can be incredibly difficult. If you reach out to someone and say, hey, can you give me a testimonial? They'll be like, I love you, but I don't know what to say. And so if you have taken notes throughout, you can say, hey, you said this. Can I use this as your testimonial? Just like everything else, schedule it out. Figure out a day and time to push it out. Then, just like here, what are you going to put in a social post? Create a simple graphic to share with it, tag the person. And by doing that, what will happen is people will likely engage back in that. If someone is tagged in a post, oftentimes they'll engage in that. And therefore, the way that social algorithms work, if someone else comments or engages back, you will then get to see their network as well. We call that Yahtzee. And that's exactly what we want to do. We want to get more people to see your business. And again, it's free publicity. Woo, 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 woo. So what's a way that you can do this? Here's an email that you can just send to people. Hey, client, it's been a blast working with you and seeing your product service grow. We'd love to feature you on our site and throughout our channels. Can you provide a sentence or two about the experience you've had with us? That's it. We'll do the rest. Thanks and your name. And then remember what I just said about how hard it can be to do this. When you're talking with people, take notes, because if they say something great about your business, you want to be able to be ready to come back and be like, hey, you said this. Can I use this as a testimonial? That way, that person isn't like, I don't know what to say. You're on top of it. You're basically just reciting what they said. And like I said before, Yahtzee. Social reviews, which are different than testimonials. Testimonials, you have a lot more control over. Social reviews are more like when someone is on Amazon and a Facebook. And while you can direct someone and encourage someone to give you a review, positive, hopefully, or negative, not hopefully. But the difference between a social review is you don't control it as much, where a testimonial, you can absolutely control not only where it goes or who sees it, but a social review can just happen because you have a page. So you got to be very cognizant of that. Here's a few examples of people who have said things about the business over the years. And, you know, some of them might have been encouraged by me to post this out. Some of them might have just done it because they wanted to. And so key, though, with all this, doesn't matter where the site is. What's great is that they do review it, but you want to make sure that you respond back as the brand ambassador, the brand community manager, the entrepreneur, the business owner, the marketing person. Nothing worse than not responding back to someone's comment. It's just terrible. Like Charles Barkley says, it's just terrible. When you get a 1-star review, though, this is an opportunity to not cry, not be sad, but turn that 1-star review into an absolute champion for your business. Why? Because oftentimes people are just hurt. They're sad. Or in this case, that the story I'm about to tell you, they actually did it by complete accident. And so some of these review sites now, you don't even have to give context behind it. You can simply just give 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stars. And that's bonkers that someone could just do that and just not give you feedback on it. But it can hurt the scoring system. And so whenever I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or a review in any kind of way, I always reach out to the person and say, hey, thanks for this review. I want to learn more about it, you know, whether it's positive or negative. And so this one time, this person gave me a 1-star review, went through the CRM, had no idea who they were. It was very clear that they hadn't attended any of my events through any of our data collection. And so I just reached out and said, hey, like, I see that you gave this review. It's really unfortunate. I'm so sorry. Can you tell me what happened? The response was mind-boggling. What do you think the response was? Well, this is what it was. I have no idea who you are. What? You have no idea who I am, but you just give me a 1 star. Why would you do that? Well, I don't know. But on mobile devices, on your cellular device, oftentimes you can accidentally be scrolling and click something. That's exactly what happened. So that 1 star actually turned into, I think they deleted it in this case. And what happened next was absolutely mind-boggling. They learned about my business. They looked through it, liked what they were seeing, and actually started engaging in post. So had I not reached out to that person, I would have just been sitting here with a 1 star, not knowing why. And now what's great about it is I have a new fan. I have a new champion for the business just because I did my job and reached out to the person and said, well, what can I do to fix it? Because ultimately that's what I wanted to do, right? I can't always fix it, right? But I can at least try and I can at least ask. And I think that's my job to do as a business owner. No matter what kind, this is exactly what I just said. No matter what kind of review they leave, always follow up. Figure it out. That's your job. If you don't do it, it's on you, kids. It's on you. So how do you get these reviews? Well, simply put, you can copy the script if you want. Might as well. Screenshot it right now if you want to. Pull out your cell phone and take a screenshot, or just screenshot this thing. It says, hey, clients or fans, we love you. And we love being able to help you. We're working on increasing our exposure on Facebook, Yelp, Google, or wherever. Doesn't matter. And would love if you could go to this link, give them the link, and provide a review of our company. This would mean the world to us. Thanks so much for your help. Thanks in whatever your name is. I wouldn't put name. I would put your name. Like, make sure they know, like, your name. Humanize it. Evergreen content. Evergreen content is content that is perpetually relevant, content that is staying fresh for a very long period of time. So if you say something, basically the context of that doesn't change over a very long lifespan of whatever you were saying. Like a podcast, right? What you say on a podcast oftentimes is evergreen content. So if you're on a podcast or you host your own podcast, you want to make sure that you take that information and you actually host it on your own website. And here's the reason why. Oftentimes what happens is you are on a media, on some sort of, you have some sort of press or media produced about you, content produced about you, and it always sits on the other website. And the problem with that is it's great that they did the story on you. It's great that a piece of material was produced about you. But the problem is you're waiting for that person to then market you more. And oftentimes they're actually just going to market the next thing. So if they do a story every week, you're one of 52 stories of the year. Well, what do you do the other 51 weeks when they're not pushing you? You get in the driver's seat and you push it yourself. So you take that material and you start hosting it on your website. It's very simple to do this. Copy and paste from an embed perspective. And you want to make sure that you're in control of the material that you push out. Because again, let's say you're a magazine for 12 weeks out of the year. You're in a magazine that's produced 12 times a year. And you were in January and they promote you for January. Well, then when February comes around, they stop promoting you. Well, there's 11 months out of the year that you're missing. And so you want to be in the driver's seat and produce the material that will get people to see you year round. So it could be a site like my show where the material goes to the website and then you host it on your platform and then you push it out from there and then you schedule it out, 4 or 5 times a week, you push out that podcast. It doesn't have to just be on one time when it comes out. It can go out multiple times. And it also can be shows that you've produced or that you've been on. It doesn't matter. The key is that you're in the driver's seat and you push it out. Now, this thing that I call the fraternity of podcast guests is basically your alumni network. It's a way for you to connect with people that have ties to you. And so many times people are on similar podcast or they were on a podcast with someone else. Let's say you're on my show. Let's say you're on Zach Miller Says. I've had 300 plus episodes. If you guys haven't yet, subscribe at Zach Miller Says. It's ZACK Miller Says everywhere. And you can go through and figure out who the guest I've had on there and start reaching out to those individuals because you have a tie to me. And so you reach out to that person and you say hello. Just say, hey, it's such a valuable thing. And so you're trying to find this person. It could be Gary. He was on my show. You look up Gary and you find his information and you email him and you say, yo, Gary, what's up? I listened to your episode of whatever that podcast was, and I wanted to let you know how awesome you are. I dug into some of your work and I really enjoy it. I absolutely love it. I love reading this while doing this. So I guess I should put my face on this more because I'm really getting animated into this. I want to make sure that you guys can see it more. Hey, Gary, I listened to your episode on that podcast. That's not the show. It's whatever that show was, right? And I wanted to tell you how awesome you are. Yeah. I dug into some of the other work that you're doing and I absolutely love it. I was on that podcast too. Maybe I should start a show called That Podcast. I wonder if there's a show called that. And you can find it here and then link to it, right? I'm glad that I discovered you on the podcast. I'll start sharing your work as well. Best name, it would be Zach in that case, right? It's a great opportunity for you to reach out to those people. I've done it a ton. And what's interesting is most people reply back. So I've been able to find people who have a very similar trend to me that have been on the same show as me. And by following the fraternity of podcast guests, I've made new friends by just reaching out. I think you should do that too. It is absolutely mind-boggling. And then whatever that podcast is you put in whatever that podcast is. How many of you guys have blog posts, right? There's a tool out there called Discuss. It's pretty cool, but you can use this concept as well. And so you can go on WordPress and download Discuss, but basically it takes the most popular articles on your website and it will share people to stay on your website longer. The longer someone's on your website, the more likely they are to buy from you at that same time and frequent more pages. So you want people to go to your website, peruse, click, peruse some more, click, peruse some more, click, buy, right? Maybe quicker than that, maybe a little bit slower than that. But the key is if they find more articles that are written about you or that you've written that are more in line with what they're doing, the more likely they are to like you and then ultimately subscribe to whatever you're selling, right? And so Discuss has this cool tool where and you can just do this process as well. But basically, you take the stories that are more in line with what you're doing, and in the actual blog post that you've produced, you take a snippet of that article and you entice people to watch that or to read that or to comment on that. If you're on a YouTube page and you watch a video and it's done, at the end of it, you might see something similar to this, where it's like, if you watch this, you might like that. It's the same kind of concept. Instead of having that person then trying to figure out what's next, you guide them. And by guiding them, it can be great. If you write a blog post, you want to email it out to your list of people. You create new content, you want people to see it. You are on a new podcast, you have press about you, you have a blog post that's been written, you have a new podcast episode, email it to your list. And do this in the frequency that they are expecting it in, because then they can tune into it at the expected time that they originally would. So maybe you wake up and watch the Today Show every morning from 7 to 7:20. So maybe at 7:25, you every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or just Tuesday, right? You can have them consume your material on a frequency that they are expecting it. For example, you can sign up for my newsletter. Go to zachmillersays.com/newsletter. And every Monday morning, once a week, 10:15 a.m., I send an email with my best piece of content or thought from the past week. So I'm making you think, okay, when can I receive this next? It's the same thing. Thursday night at 8:30, there's a college football game on, or a favorite TV show, or something like that, right? New content on Netflix comes out every, Friday. You are teaching your viewers, your customers, your prospects to tune in to consume your material, and you're actually marketing towards it. Another great way to be seen is to get interviews with people. You can be the interviewer or you can be the interviewee. I've done both and I love it. Here's an example of when I interviewed Damon John for my TV show on ABC. And if you're not familiar with Damon John, he's the guy who started FUBU and is also the people shark on Shark Tank. I had a quick 10-minute interview with him, and I wanted the world to see this interview. And so it was broadcasted many years ago when I had interviewed him. And I think 25,000 people watched that when it was broadcasted. But then I took that video and I was able to push it more to be in my driver's seat so that my fans, followers, prospects, customers, whoever's seeing this can see me interview him. And so instead of just hoping that one channel, that one time that it aired would, be the time, it's like, no, this material I have access to. So how can I distribute it out? And so I do. So you can check it. Go to zachmillersays.com/Damon John, and you would see the article there. Also, it's on all channels. It's on my podcast. It's just the audio. Again, it's taking the material that you've already produced, getting in the driver's seat, and pushing it out, because there's nothing worse than having material out there and it being amazing and no one ever see it because you don't push it. You need to push your material, because the brands that do will be seen, and those that don't won't. From a social perspective, if the interview is evergreen, email your list and add it to your social profiles. As you can see, this calendar has been filling up over the last few moments. If the interview is not evergreen, you want to push it as if you're the expert in whatever the subject matter is, and recycle incoming ones as TBT, hashtag TBT. What is that? Throwback Thursday. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Throwback Thursday. Bam. The key here is you have material. It's likely viable. It's likely very good information. So push it out. Don't hope that all those people saw it before, because the hope strategy when marketing your business is not a good one. What you want to do is get in the driver's seat and control it. Schedule your post. As you can see in here on Thursday, we've added a Throwback Thursday interview post. The key is you have this material, you have these things produced already. All you have to do is distribute it out. Be a distribution channel. And finally, number 8, how do you get people to opt into the things that you want them to? The first thing you do is say, hey, subscribe to my thing, right? So wherever you're listening to this now, it's at Zach Miller Says, right? So if you're on Facebook or YouTube or audio, right, I want you to subscribe. So wherever it says subscribe, go and click the little button and says subscribe. Or I could say, hey, every Monday morning at 10:13 a.m., I send out my number 1 tip of the week. And you can grab access to that for free at zachmillersays.com/newsletter. By having a more concise opt-in, the person will have a better understanding of what they're going to get out of it. An opt-in is simply like a business card exchange, but it happens to typically be online with emails or some other types of contact information. You're exchanging some piece of content for contact information for your users. So if someone wants something from you, they give you their contact information and you give them that type of material. Typically, it is in email form. You want to be concise, be authoritative, use big wins. So in this case, I actually want you guys to use the big wins, not the plethora of wins. I want you to use the biggest win that you have and use real numbers whenever possible. So these 4 things, concise, authoritative, use big wins, and use real numbers when possible, can be a more compelling story. For example, this one variable one, learn something new. We're constantly researching and learning about the freshest methods and techniques in business. Now you can too. When I read this, this is what I think. Boring, boring. Say it with me. Boring, Wizard of Oz, whatever they're saying. Boring, boring. Boring. I'm not, you guys can't see my feet, but I'm stopping. Boring. It's not concise. It's just boring. So I don't know what I'm going to get. Or this was a great one by this guy named Noah Kagan. He says, get access to 85% of my business hacks, and then give your email right there. And then he provides them to you. And then he has a nice little testimonial before by another person in his field that people would probably know that will trust him. And he also says, so he uses he says, you'll learn exactly how I started 2 multi-million-dollar companies, right? So there's the numbers in there. And then how I grew an email list to 700,000 people. Numbers are important. Why are numbers important? Because when people see numbers, they're like, oh, well, that seems important. It seems like that person knows what they're talking about. So maybe I should listen more. That's why. In review, I've showed you the 8 ways to take this material, get in the driver's seat, and distribute your information. How to find, win, and engage influencers, the process for funneling visitors into customers, turn disappointing guests into raving fans, and how to get anyone to open your emails in these 8 topics, including existing work, testimonials, and opt-ins. Now, what I would love for you guys to do is one of 2 things. I'd love to schedule a consult with you. All you have to do is go to bit.ly/50TENZMS. What a mouthful. bit.ly/5010ZMS. Or you can, if you're not already, would love for you to join the Anomaly Nation. Go to facebook.com/group/Anomaly Nation. That's facebook.com/group/Anomaly Nation, or would love to schedule a consult with you to help you with your business. You can go to bit.ly/5010ZMS, 50TEN ZMS. Appreciate you being with me today. And that's all I got. So schedule the consult at that link right there. Right there. bit.ly/5010ZMS. Or join join the Anomaly Nation at facebook.com/group/Anomaly Nation. If you guys have questions, feel free to ask them. Until next time, I am your sensei, leaving you. So this is where I have to say, peace and pancakes, y'all. Laters. Thanks for being here. Can I say peace and pancakes twice? Is that appropriate? Okay. Join Anomaly Nation on Facebook and schedule a consult with me now. Peace and pancakes.